Welcome back to more Euro Fantasy content. This will be the best goalkeepers video and podcast, and the way I'm going to structure it is to highlight the 11 best players and form a starting 11 of sorts. So there's a top 10 and an honourable mention and 11 overall in each position. So today it's the goalkeepers, then it'll be defenders, midfielders, forwards, and potentially players to avoid as well, which won't be ranked like these ones are. It's kind of a rough ranking, of course, and some of you might disagree with some of the orders and selections, but be sure to smash the like button and subscribe if you're new. I miss to get this video to the 200 likes and to keep on pushing towards 24,000 subscribers and beyond. Check all the links as well in the description, like my Twitter and Instagram, DylanRCM, my Patreon, the Championships Discord server, and the Euro Fantasy League. Without further ado, let's jump straight into it. At number 11, and the so-called honourable mention, we have Unai Simon, who played and started the game against Northern Ireland in a 5-1 victory for Spain. But in the previous victory against Andorra, which ended up 5-0, it was David Raya who started. There is a possibility of the odd rotation here and there. It wouldn't surprise me, for example, if Unai Simon started the first two match days, then Raya was in goal against Albania in matchday 3. We could see something like that happen, but Unai Simon is the first choice, and he's priced at 5.5 million. Which is a bit too steep for me. If he was at 4.5 to 5 million, I would consider him, and his ownership is 3% for a reason. He is a good option, but I think there are better alternatives in the goalkeeper position, and that's why Unai Simon is ranked 11th. He's had a good season with Athletic Bilbao, keeping 18 clean sheets, and he's done quite well for Spain overall, but there are some suspect moments in him. I don't think he's the best goalkeeper Spain have ever produced, of course, and even now, you could argue David Raya deserves to be the number one over Unai Simon, but I'm sure Spaniards will tell me differently, and that's completely understandable. The other reason why Unai Simon is ranked so low is because of the fixtures against Croatia and Italy. Yes, they might be very tight games. You could see a 0-0 in one of those matches, but in terms of clean sheet probabilities, I don't think Spain are that high up when compared to the other top nations. So Unai Simon is 11th in the goalkeeper rankings. Livakovic has just about made it into the top 10, and I think the key reason why I've ranked him above Unai Simon is the $500,000 you save in price. So I think Livakovic offers better value for money, and Croatia beat Portugal 2-1 in a friendly on Saturday, the 8th of June, and just before that, they beat North Macedonia 3-0, and Livakovic has played every single minute. And of course, I say that, it's kind of obvious for a goalkeeper, but in friendlies, you sometimes see one goalkeeper playing 45 minutes and then someone else coming on during the second half. And we have seen that with Spain and David Raya with Unai Simon back in March and also previous friendlies as well. But Livakovic has 4% ownership. He's played 54 games for Croatia, keeping 19 clean sheets and conceding 54 goals as well. And for his club, Fenerbahce, he has kept 21 clean sheets. And I think Fenerbahce finished with 99 points, but still didn't win the Turkish league title, losing out to Galatasaray. But that matchday 2 fixture against Albania looks very promising for Croatia and Livakovic, and if you are using the wildcard or limitless, I would definitely consider Livakovic in your 50-man squad for that specific match day. But in match days 1 and 3, it doesn't look great, but I still think Livakovic is a good goalkeeper. He was one of the best in Qatar for the World Cup just 2 years ago, and I think he could do the same thing once again. For Euro 2020, Donnarumma was probably the number one goalkeeper going into the tournament. We're all talking about him being the best option between the sticks, and Italy went on to win the Euros. But this time round, he's ranked 9th in this list, and he kept a clean sheet against Turkey in a recent friendly. But by the time this video is actually published, you would have seen how Italy have done against Bosnia in the last friendly before that opener against Albania. So just bear that in mind. This video and podcast is recorded on Sunday, on the 9th of June, in the morning, so the game against Bosnia takes place tonight. We'll see how Italy do. But in the previous friendly, they played Ecuador in March and they won 2-0, and before that they beat Venezuela 2-1. And Italy haven't been absolutely great ever since winning the Euros. They failed to qualify for the World Cup, and Italy, I'm not even sure what's going on there, because if you really think about it, Italy are in that pantheon of great footballing nations with Brazil, Argentina and Germany, and for them not to make the World Cups is very strange indeed. But they're still capable of winning Euro tournaments, and whilst you probably wouldn't put them anywhere near the favourites this time round, you can't rule out Italy in any given competition. If they qualify, they have a great chance of winning it, and matchday 1 poses a great fixture against Albania. But in match days 2 and 3, I just don't think that justifies that 6 million price tag for Donnarumma, who has 15% ownership, and for Italy has played 61 games, keeping 27 clean sheets and conceding 49 goals. And for his club Paris Saint-Germain, he has kept 16 16 clean sheets this season as well. So Donnarumma is a great option for Matchday 1. If you're using the Limitless and Wildcard chips in Matchdays 2 and 3, Donnarumma could suit your strategy, but 6 million is a bit too steep for a goalkeeper with 2 tough fixtures. The same logic applies to Manuel Neuer, who's also priced at 6 million, but he has better fixtures compared to Donnarumma, and that's why I've ranked him above the Italian. And Manuel Neuer has 14% ownership, and in 119 games for Germany, he has kept 49 clean sheets and conceding 114 goals, which isn't a great record, but he has won the World Cup, and in the Euros, Germany haven't won it since 1996, which is a very long time for Germany, but they've consistently reached semi-finals and progressed very far in this competition. And they would be one of the favourites for me because of the host nation, and they've got some top talent in all areas of the pitch, and Neuer is one of the greatest goalkeepers of all time. For Bayern Munich, he kept 11 clean sheets and he came back from a lengthy spell of injury, and Neuer's had a few injury problems in recent years, which is a shame, but I do think he's a good option for the first 2 match days, particularly in Matchday 1 against Scotland in that opener. Be sure to tune in for the deadline stream on Friday the 14th of June as we look at the lineups and lock in our final teams for Matchday 1. So Manuel Neuer makes it into the top 10, but he's not that high up really, despite having good fixtures and being a great goalkeeper for Germany. Back in March, Denmark kept consecutive clean sheets against Switzerland and Faroe Islands, but in the recent friendlies against Sweden and Norway, Denmark didn't keep a clean sheet but won both matches 2-1 and 3-1 respectively, and Kasper Schmeichel offers great value at 5 million with 2 decent fixtures in Matchdays 1 and 3. England doesn't look particularly great in Matchday 2, but they are struggling for form right now, and it wouldn't surprise me if it was a low scoring game and a very tight and competitive match, as we saw in the previous Euro tournament when England beat Denmark in the semi-finals. And Kasper Schmeichel has a great record for Denmark considering the size of the country he plays for. Some of the stats are comparable to Manuel Neuer, in fact. 110 games for his country with 47 clean sheets and 81 goals conceded, and he kept 8 clean sheets for his club this season. So I think Kasper Schmeichel is quite underrated, and I do like him for the first match day to kick things off and also to round off the group stages against Serbia. Now, match day 2 on paper, I don't think any of us would actively seek to go for Denmark assets, including Kasper Schmeichel, but he's a good option between the sticks, and that's why he's ranked at number 7. Verbruggen is arguably the best budget goalkeeper in the game, and I covered him in the best budget players video and podcast. And in a recent friendly, the Netherlands beat Canada 4-0, but before that they lost 2-1 to Germany back in March, and they've got one more friendly before the Euros begins, and that's going to be against Iceland. So let's see how the Netherlands play in that game. But Verbruggen is now the number 1 goalkeeper, and in 6 games for the Dutch army, he has kept 4 clean sheets and he's conceded 4 goals in that time frame. And for his club, Brighton and Hove Albion, he has kept 7 clean sheets across all competitions, and with 4% ownership and such a low price tag, I think Verbruggen could be a great option for matchday 1 and 3. I definitely avoid him against France in matchday 2, but I do like him to start this season, and then if you use a chip in matchday 2, I think Verbruggen really suits that strategy very well. So Verbruggen is ranked at number 6. He was very close to making it into the top 5, but we've got some great goalkeepers in this list. Maignan is quite injury prone for a goalkeeper, but if he can stay fit, I think he's right up there with the best goalkeepers in Euro Fantasy. And France have one more friendly to play before the Euros begins, and that's going to be against Canada, which will take place tonight on Sunday the 9th of June. So let's see how they do in that game. But in a recent friendly, they beat Luxembourg 3-0, and back in March, they lost 2-0 to Germany, but also beat Chile 3-2. And Maignan has a good record for the French national team. In 15 games, he has kept 8 clean sheets and conceded 9 goals. And for AC Milan, 15 clean sheets for the season, and that's why his ownership is 17%, because he's 5.5 million with 2 good fixtures against Austria and Poland. I think matchday 2 is quite tough, and that could be a very high scoring game, so you're really going to look at the attacking assets between France and the Netherlands in matchday 2. But for matchday 1, France have a great chance of a clean sheet despite Austria being in great form, and Maignan is in my top 5 for the best goalkeepers. 4th place seems very high for Lunin, but he was a great option in UCL Fantasy for Real Madrid, being right up there with Kobel as the best goalkeeper in that fantasy format. But the reason why I've ranked him so highly here is because Ukraine have 2 good fixtures to kick things off. You can avoid any Ukraine assets against Belgium in matchday 3, and Lunin is only 4.5 million with a lot of saves potential, and I think 1 clean sheet is certainly possible in the group stages. His ownership is 18%, so he's quite a template pick. In 11 games for Ukraine, he has kept 5 clean sheets, conceding 8 goals as well. And for Real Madrid, he kept 12 clean sheets in 31 matches, helping them win the Champions League. He was a bit hard done by in the Champions League final, but Lunin did a great job for them, and he will get plenty of game time next season, I'm sure, despite Thibaut Courtois still being there, of course, and being the undisputed #1. But speaking of which, Trubin was the #1 before for Ukraine, but Lunin has made that spot his own, and he will start every single game for Ukraine at the Euros. So he's ranked at 4th. Maybe it's a bit too high. I understand that. I think 4th to 6th is quite interchangeable between Lunin, Maignan, and Verbruggen. Originally, I was going to place Pickford in either 1st or 2nd place as the best goalkeeper in the game, but I'm going to put him at 3rd at the moment because England have 1 win out of the last 5 matches, and against Iceland, which England lost recently, Ramsdale was in goal and not Pickford. But even in the previous friendlies and international games, England have conceded far too many chances and goals for my liking. Now, in this tournament, I think they will shore things up a little bit and they'll keep a clean sheet in the group stages at the very least, potentially 2. But the form they've got at the moment and the frame of mind isn't quite there, in my opinion, and there's a lot of dilemmas and also talk about Gareth Southgate's team selections. Harry Maguire missing the squad due to injury is a massive blow. No matter what you say about Harry Maguire, he has performed for England, and if you put Mark Gay or Lewis Dunk there, you will probably see a downgrade. I think Gay is a quality defender, by the way, and maybe he'll grow into the role alongside John Stones, but I think the main issue is actually in the midfield. That partner for Declan Rice, I think, just needs to be right, and the balance isn't quite there. Mainu is a top talent with so much potential, but I do think England are missing something in terms of their defensive balance, and I'm not sure if they quite got that midfield right. But if they can get things spot on, Pickford could easily move up to 2nd or 1st place. There's no doubt about that. But at the moment, I'm ranking him in 3rd. He's got 24% ownership. He's only 5 million and 61 games for England, keeping 29 clean sheets and conceding 45 goals. Even for Everton, he kept 14 clean sheets. Only David Raya for Arsenal kept more in the Premier League. So Pickford is still a good option, but with Mark Gay at 4.5 million, you potentially have better value for money in that England defence. Belgium have kept 3 clean sheets out of the last 4 matches, and a lot of people were talking about Sales as a 4 million goalkeeper option for a top team, but that won't be the case. Casteels will start, and it's quite obvious by this point. There was still a bit of hope, but in recent friendlies, I think it's been made abundantly clear that Casteels will be the #1, and this is something that Belgian media outlets have been talking about for quite some time now, and Casteels has 1% ownership. He's a very underrated option. In 10 games for Belgium, he has kept 6 clean sheets and conceded just 5 goals, and for his club, he also kept 5 clean sheets as well, with some very favourable fixtures from matchdays 1 to 3, in my opinion, although you would argue Ukraine is the toughest of the lot if you look at the level of opposition and the quality of players from each team. But Slovakia and Romania could cause problems, there's no doubt about that, but Belgium are expected to win this group quite comfortably and keep 1 or 2 clean sheets and potentially win all 3 matches as well. So Casteels is very underrated. He's very close to #1, but I'm going for a Portuguese shot stopper who can make so many penalty saves, and that's why he's at top spot. Similar to what I said about Jordan Pickford, Portugal have looked very shaky in recent games, losing 2 out of the last 3 matches against Slovenia and Croatia. But Diogo Costa still played quite well in their recent 2-1 defeat against Croatia, and I still back Portugal to nail down that starting 11 and get things spot on in the tournament and potentially go far in the competition. And before that kind of blip you've seen recently from Portugal, they won 11 consecutive games under their new manager, Roberto Martinez, and those fixtures are arguably the best of any top team in the group stages, and Diogo Costa could make a mockery of that 5 million price tag. He's capable of saving penalties. We've seen that in the Champions League where he set a new record a couple of years ago, and also he can make a lot of saves during a match, and Portugal keeping a clean sheet could result in 7 or 8 points from Diogo Costa. His ownership is just 9%, and in 21 games for Portugal, he has kept 11 clean sheets, only conceding 15 goals, which is a great record. And for Porto, he kept 17 clean sheets and was the man of the match in the Portuguese Cup final against Sporting. So I really think Costa is capable of big performances. He was quite shaky in Qatar in the World Cup, but I think he will turn things around and be a very solid goalkeeper for Portugal in the years to come. there we have it. The top 11 goalkeepers in Euro Fantasy all covered in this video and podcast. And the plan is to do this for every single position. Defenders, midfielders and forwards are up next, and potentially a players to avoid video. And don't forget, there is a budget players video and podcast already out on the channel, and much more, such as predicted lineups, chip strategy, my draft videos, and the team selection is coming very soon as well. Thank you very much for watching this video and listen to this podcast. If you enjoyed it or found it useful, then be sure to smash the like button and subscribe if you're new. Let's get this video to over 200 likes on YouTube and to keep on pushing towards 24,000 subscribers and beyond. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram, DylanRCM, and check all the other links in the description below for my Patreon, the Championships Discord server, Euro Fantasy League, Draft Town, and also Spotify. Leave a 5-star review on my podcast. It goes a long way to supporting the channel. I wish you all the best of luck for Matchday 1 and the rest of the tournament, and I'll see you next time.